Hello.
We're not going to give it too long because we didn't announce we were going live, and we only have about 20 minutes without children. So, welcome to our YouTube channel, Laughing Willow Farms, which we're probably going to change that name soon, maybe to Laughing Willow Life. If you have a vote on that, you can share in the comment below if you like Laughing Willow Life. What do you think, Robert?
I like that.
You can't see Robert's eyes, so y'all don't know what he's saying. Oh, now he can talk with his eyes. We just wanted to pop on here to share a little bit about what's been going on in our life the last 3 months. Actually, the last time we went live was that in August or September, August maybe, towards the end of August. And then from there, we actually haven't done a whole lot of content because we've been so busy. We're going to share why. And we've had so many questions since I announced that we moved to a ranch. I announced that I quit Midwifery. And so we thought we would take the opportunity just to answer some of those questions live today. Just the easiest way for us to do it right now, especially being a little bit busy still for the next few weeks until we get a new rhythm. It's hard to edit. Editing videos is a challenge, and we really enjoy doing YouTube videos, but it's easy to shoot the content. We'll do that. We'll shoot tons of content, and then setting down to edit is like a whole nother ball game. And so we'll jump into like why it's being hard to edit right now. So we're at our kids' beautiful cooperative today. They go to a homeschool co-op, and we have about 25 more minutes left of child free. One of the girls that we know watches. Shout out to Nicole. She watches Lennon while we have an hour to work. But we're here together today.
Yeah.
Because we have a whole new
Kind of weird.
A whole new life. I tend to talk more than Robert, so Robert, just interrupt me
here.
if you want.
Providing moral support.
Oh, okay. We're in it together. So when you guys heard from us live back in the end of August, I shared kind of my journey of health, finding out I had Lyme, and what we were doing about that. And I think we were already, we already had a stirring in our heart that we were probably going to make a change, doing something. We wanted to do something kind of ministry related, but not through a church. And we'd been praying about that since February prior, whenever I, really realized I had to get better. And I keep calling it was like a season of surrender, which I really did throw up my hands and just say Lord, wherever you want us to go. And or whatever you want us to do, even if that was to stay where we were, but we knew something needed to change. I started reading a book. I can link it, and I'm probably going to butcher the title right now because I keep doing that, but I think it's How to Raise Grateful Kids in an Entitled World. And it was a lot of things that I already know, we know to be true, but in the book they talk a lot about just serving together as a family, and the schedule that we kept prior, it's just really hard to serve as a family. And I think even when you're on staff at a church, which Robert has been for several years, it's hard to serve as a family. You can on Wednesday and Sunday, but actually stepping outside and going and doing something, there's not really space to do that, especially if you have little kids, because you're in charge of stuff. And so we couldn't do that. So we were there, we would do stuff, but all together as family going and doing was hard. So anyways, with all those pieces, this leads us to, we moved to a ranch. So we moved to a nonprofit boys ranch. It's called Still Creek Ranch, out in Central Texas, about a month ago. We've been there a month. We just wrapped up our first 2 weeks of having boys in our home, and those are some of the questions, and so we'll get to explaining all that. And this is our off week, so we've kind of completed our first round of how things will be. We moved on January 2nd. So I think first is, maybe we should say what we did with all of our animals in our homestead, because that's the big burning question people want to know.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we sold our homestead. And luckily we found homes for all of our animals with people that we know and trust. All of them, right?
All of them, which is so sweet.
Yeah. And
Really
so
sweet.
we know, we'll see them, as we see those people when we come back here to visit.
We saw them all yesterday.
Yeah.
Actually, all of them. We hit up the different houses and we went, and now they're animals now. We gave them to them, but
except for our bees. Our bees are where we keep our cows.
Yeah.
They're
over at Living
they're
with
bee
Flores.
sitting for us.
Yeah, Living with Flores on YouTube. They have our bees. And we may move them to the ranch at some point, but we're going to get our spring harvest out of them first, let their hives be nice and light, figure out a place to put them
We
near
kept our
us.
chickens, we downsized the flock a little bit, and then we kept our Great Pyrenees, and we're rehoming her 4 puppies right now.
Yes. Oh, she did
So
have
if anybody
puppies.
wants a puppy, we do have a puppy we're looking for a good home.
She did have puppies with our other Pyrenees, which he went with the goats to help protect them. And so they were intentional, but we weren't sure she was pregnant until about a week before she had them. So we had to contact the ranch where we were going to and say, plot twist, we have to bring some puppies with us because they're not ready to go. Yeah, so the new place is on a 200-acre horse ranch. And I think what was really sweet about that is as we were packing, like the last week when we were moving, I walked to my kitchen window, which we could see all of our property from, and I just thought, oh, I'm gonna miss this. Like the fog was coming up, it was a winter morning, and then I realized, oh Lord, you're so sweet, because we said we'll go anywhere, and he said, okay, I'm gonna send you to a horse ranch. Like I'm gonna send you somewhere even more beautiful than where you're at right now. I'm gonna give you an even better view, which we do. Like you walk out on our porch, our front porch, and you just see horses and land, and it's really pretty. And it's the same type of thing that we're doing, just actually on a bigger scale. So yeah, so people have asked, like, are you sad? And I just can say I'm really not. I actually just feel, yeah, so
I had
grateful.
a little bit of nostalgia, like the last day we were at the house, and there were like moments of that leaving. But no, I mean, God kind of set us up for a new season, and when we went.
Yeah,
and it's been great.
I feel so grateful. I'm just like, thank you. Like, so something kind of fun. Robert had been praying for 200 acres. We've been praying for more land. And he was like, I'm just going to pray for 200 acres. And I was like, wow. And he's like, yeah, but it's God. Like, he can do anything. It's like, yeah, he can. So I think in our minds, we're like, yeah, if that happens, it's going to be like some family member leaves us land or just like something like that.
So he answered it in a different way. Obviously, it's not ours. Will never be ours. But, it's like, okay, well, I'm going to move you into a different season on the number of acres you prayed for. It's going to look totally different than you ever thought it would have.
Well, and I think that the interesting thing to me is that nothing is ours, right?
Yeah.
So like even if we hold the title or we own it outright, like a bank doesn't even own it, like nothing's ours. It's all God's anyways. And so that was something we paused and realized, like, this is God's land anyways, like regardless. And so we just have to trust, but he's giving us the thing we asked for. Something else that I'd been praying for is just a way to teach other people, like on a small scale, not small scale, but just like a local scale of like in-person, one-on-one, like how to do some of the things we've learned, like the lost skills. And being where we're at, I think like we'll have that opportunity to do that, which is cool too. And the kids already do quite a bit of that. They raise pigs, they're part of the horse program, they raise chickens. So there's like a lot of that going on anyways.
Which I'm excited about because I know nothing about horses. That's one of the animals that...
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I actually inherited my dad's saddle. Like, what word? My dad's saddle after he passed away in the spring.
Before we knew anything about
we didn't know any. And
we were just like, what do we do with this saddle?
Yeah, and he was a great horseman, actually. Like that was his skill, that was his love. And I grew up riding horses, but haven't, since I was about 12. And honestly have like a small fear of horses that I'm gonna have to like work through, just because they can sense that, and I know that. And so these horses are like very tested when they're therapy horses and like working with kids and stuff. So that'll be super fun, and I can use my dad's saddle. It was actually really fun to take the saddle and put it in the saddle room. I just like set it up there, and it like had its spot. So that was really cool, and that was really sweet. So I guess the ranch, we should just share about what it is. It's so the slogan is taking kids from crisis to new creation. It's a place of healing and of safe home for kids who are coming out of hard situations. It houses both girls and boys. We're on the boys' side, which is the main ranch side, and we are what's called relief parents. And so we have our house. This is like one big question people want to know. So here's a logistical answer. We have our house that we live in. It's our house. It's just a really big house, and it has rooms for the boys and living spaces and everything. And then like right off the kitchen, there's a door that has a lock to it, and you go into that, and that's our quarters with our bathrooms and our bedrooms. So during the day we kind of open that up, and it's like a whole big old house, and at night we shut that. People have safety questions. Yes, there's cameras. Yes, there's ways to monitor for things like that. And it's family style, so they only take kids who would do well in a family environment. And so as relief parents, we get one group of 8 boys for a week while their primary parents get a week off. And then we get another group the following week while their primary parents get a week off, and then we get a week off. So everybody has 2 weeks on and 1 week off, and we all rotate. So this week is our week off, which is why we're able to sit here and do this. Ages, generally they're going to be somewhere around the ages of 10 to, I'm trying to think because we don't have any younger ones right now, but 10 to 18. The goal is to graduate them. There's a private school there on campus. There's a whole equestrian program on campus. Sports are available to the kids. Our kids can partake in all of that. And what else? What are other questions people have like really been asking us? So I did quit midwifery for now. Once a midwife, always a midwife. I think I struggled with that for a little bit. Like, oh, I'm not going to be a midwife anymore. And finally someone looked at me and they're like, you're always a midwife. Like you're going to look at a doctor and be like, you're a doctor regardless if you're practicing. So
I can't do that.
Yeah. So I am a midwife, but I'm not practicing. I will help out my friend Bethany Stricker with North Texas Midwifery from time to time, just to kind of like keep my CEUs up and not lose skills or anything like that. I'm still doing our Patreon account. I just shared something actually on vitamin K. It was a talk that I did with Bethany and then another midwife, Becky. And I think it's really informative. It's really a response to Candace Owens' video that she put out. If you're familiar with that, or if you want to go watch hers first and then you can watch ours, I'm going to tell you, it's going to make you think about what she says. Actually not going to agree with what she says. And so put that out on the Patreon. And so I'll continue to put out homestead related content, midwifery related content, holistic living related all the things I've always done. We're going to keep doing
content.
That's another thing we could answer. So with the parenting, like we use what's called TBRI. I think it's super interesting. I think it can benefit any parent to learn the TBRI principles. We actually learned the TBRI principles years ago. So let's see, Jude's 11 and he was 2 at the time. A long time ago, through our fostering agency. And I remember the first time we went, both Robert and I were like, it's Saturday morning, it's early, we know how to parent. And then we left lunch and we're like, we don't know what we're doing. We're the worst parents in the world.
Pretty much.
We had to take that every year, actually. So we've taken it a few times. It's been a while, so we definitely had to brush up on everything because I guess when you're not forced to use TBRI, like you don't have to use it, you can start to get lax. I think everybody can get lax on, any sort of parenting tip they learn.
That is one thing when they're your own kids, but when they're not your own kids and they're coming from a place of trauma, you can't like react to them like your own kids,
right?
Like, because you don't have the same level of rapport with them, and they're coming from parents who, probably were not like healthy in the way they respond all the time, not in all cases, but
so you can't just send them right into fight or flight, or you have to get them regulated again. And so anyways, it's called connected parenting, and it's a great method, and that's what we use. What else? We're enjoying it.
Yeah.
Actually, we had like a really tough first 2 weeks.
And not because it was easy. That's what I was about to say. It wasn't an easy 2 weeks.
According to like what everyone's telling us, like we don't know. All we know is the first 2 weeks. But we were iced in for 3 days which definitely made it unique. Our power went out at one point. Our water's gone out at one point. The school had to start the second week because the water went out at the school. So it's not been a normal 2 weeks. And the kids, there's a lot of new kids because we started a new year. So they brought new kids in. And so that always just causes a lot of disruption. We're new. And so it's definitely not been a normal 2 weeks. It's been a really hard 2 weeks, and we've still loved it. We've still enjoyed it. Our kids are enjoying it. So that's another question. I guess people are like, what about your kids?
We were nervous about that question, and at the end of, or near the end of the second week, Brody, I think to you, right? Just, what did he say to you?
He said a lot of things, so I don't know.
Well, he just kind of, I think you told me like out of the blue, he was like, you know what? I'm like really enjoying this.
Oh, yeah, he did. He did say that. And we checked in with them a lot. I mean, probably every day at night we would check in. There's a plane flying. And I mean, it's just a few weeks in. We know we're going to have hurdles. It's ministry. It's mission work. Like, I think it would be ridiculous to expect,
it's all going to be highs, no lows.
But I just think so many people were asking us, and we've had so many people respond really well, but definitely a few people, concerned about like, what about your kids? And I just think like, I hope that we show them a good example of ministry, because it's not always easy. Like, if it were only easy, that would be false sense of security. It's just about how we handle the hard times, the difficult situations. I mean, I think there's so much value just in repair, right? So like when we mess up or we don't handle something well, going and repairing that moment or that situation. And I think our kids have already like learned that a little bit deeper in the last couple weeks. And so just having like a really open line of communication with them, it seems to help. I mean, we'll only know in 3 years from now we can look back and say, did we really do it well or not? But I think that we are. I mean, something that I'm just loving is we get to parent with so much grace. Like, I think parenting from a place of grace can sometimes look like you're being soft, especially like from a Christian perspective. It's like spare the rod, spoil the child. And so if there's a lot of grace given, it's like you're not being consistent and you're not showing like the authority and all these things. But with these kids we're parenting, like, you just really can't approach it that way. And so I'm enjoying like getting to parent that way.
And we both grew up in that era of spare the rod, spoil the child parenting. Yeah. And it doesn't work.
I mean, that's something I've said for a long time.
Not consistently.
You just have to, if you want your kids to show you respect, you have to respect them. They're people. They can't run the show, but they're people. You have to know what they're feeling. What they're feeling may not be right. It may not be fair, but they should get to express it so that you can work through it, or you can even show them, like, through scripture why what they're feeling might not be justified, but it's still fair that they feel that, because they're going to feel that whether you tell them to feel that or not. Like, they're still going to go feel that. So I just think there's just so much grace that's happening like within our home, and our kids are seeing that, they're experiencing that, we get to show that, and then it's a reminder to me of just like what grace has been given to me, through the Lord, and us even being here is just his grace. So we're just super grateful. So I don't know if there's any other questions. I mean, the biggest ones are like, what is the setup? What does it look like? What about our kids? What about your animals? I think those have been the big questions over and over. We do get every third whole week off, so sometimes we'll come back to the Dallas area and do things. And sometimes, we might stay, and just enjoy being where our home is now. And we did sell the homestead. We, have thought about in the future that we'll buy a piece of property. Maybe we will
bees and cows on it.
And then maybe eventually build something, maybe start with like a shed to home or tiny home or something like that. So we'll see. The market's weird. Everybody knows that right now. So we'll see what we're going to do. And we also just don't know where that's going to be. Originally we thought, we'll do that in the Dallas area. And now we're just kind of waiting to see where we land, because we're just already, it just feels like home where we are. Like at the ranch, not necessarily like the town. So it's hard to see like when and where we'll do that. We'll just kind of wait for the Lord to lead us on that. Oh, and then in terms of content, yeah, so I've talked about changing our channel name to The Laughing Willow Life and continuing to share a lot of the same content. Obviously, we don't have a full-blown homestead. I'll be setting up a garden in my backyard. We have a pretty big backyard, so we'll be setting a garden up back there where the chickens are. There's a couple areas for gardening on the ranch. There was a really great greenhouse. It got destroyed in ice a couple weeks ago, and so now we're trying to rework how we're going to do that. But there's a tree farm. We would love to do the chickens for meat maybe in the fall. There's definitely plenty of space for that. And then we've talked about maybe asking them about doing pigs. So they do pigs. The kids raise pigs for show, but they don't raise them like pasture raised like we do. So we would love the opportunity to do both. So we'll see, but there's definitely, you know, the bloom where you're planted kind of thing. And we will still live a homestead lifestyle right where we are. And so I plan to continue to share that content on top of cooking for 13 people. That's going to be fun to share that. I'm still getting my bearings on that, so before I really dive in on sharing content on that. But we'll also see, we may only be able to put out like one video a month. It's going to depend on time. I mean, it's a full-time job parenting all the boys and our sweet one girl princess. She's definitely gonna be a princess now at this point. All
Right.
these boys to take care of her, or protect her. We will see how much we get out, but I do want to, just because we both enjoy putting out videos and content and things like that. So as time allows, we plan to do that.
But it is really nice to be like, I'm finding it nice right now to be in a season of like, you know, God has put us where he put us. There's no timeline on where he put us. I don't have, like, we're just there. We're there to minister to these kids, and to minister to our own kids and to grow in our relationship and grow in our relationship with God. And that's it. I don't have any specific somewhere I gotta be, you know, as far as like goals go, or, and it's peaceful. And so right now I think we're just enjoying that peace and
healing, rest, peace, which is also just what these kids need. And so I think if we model that, that's going to be really beneficial for everybody. So if you're a believer, you can pray for us. If you think about us, pray for us.
If the ranch is a nonprofit, so like anything you want to donate to the ranch benefits everybody on the ranch.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true too. Yeah. So, all right. Well, look forward to new content and changes as we have time. I'm like, let me set the barometer.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see how much time we have.
We might see you in 2 months.
Yeah, we might. Yeah, who knows? But I just, you know, we have certain people that have followed along with us for the last couple of years, and I certainly don't want anybody to think we just like up and quit.
No.
I have such a love for growing our own food, you know, teaching people how to do it.
And that was a big question in deciding to move. It's like, well, what is this last few years and all this that we've been so passionate been for?
We still don't fully know, but I definitely see a couple paths. You know, it's definitely a bunch of open doors and not closed doors. So, yeah, so we just appreciate anybody who's followed along. And you know, my whole goal with everything that I do, and we've talked about it in terms of...
Sorry, my arm's falling asleep. Okay.
We've talked... Look, now we can see you better. I'll move closer. Go that way so we can see you. He's always trying to cut you out. Something we've talked about for any content we put out together, but also with what I've done in birth work, is educating, empowering, and inspiring. That's just always what I want to do. I just really want to empower and first inspire really people to think outside of like the social norm, whether it's birth, whether it's church, or just like how we consume, whether that's products or food, you know, all of that. Just inspire you to think outside the box, educate you on why, and then empower you to move forward in the way that makes sense for your family, because that can change. It's okay to change your mind. I heard a podcast on that like 4 or 5 years ago, and just it resonated with me. Like, it's okay to change your mind. Doesn't mean you're failing. It actually just means you're growing, and you've said, hey, right now for this season, this is what's best for my family. And being somebody who's willing to change your mind, you're going to grow so much more than somebody who is prideful to step back and say, hey, what I was doing wasn't working. Or it's not that it wasn't working, it's just something can be better.
Well, and that was a factor in us moving, you know, I'm not gonna lie. It's like, well, what are people gonna think?
Yeah.
And, you know, I had to go back to my own advice that I give to my kids all the time. Is like, you know what? It doesn't matter what people think. You do what's best for you and your family and what God tells you to do, and you're gonna be happy if you do that. And you know what? Other people's opinions just
doesn't matter. They don't have to live with you. You live with you.
Nope.
You get to, you know, have the consequences of your actions or the benefits of your actions. So, all right. Well, with that, our time is actually perfectly up. That's perfect.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
It's
actually great.
Great.
I was like 25 minutes, and we're 25 minutes in a few seconds. So thank you guys for listening, for anybody who does, and for watching, following along, cheering us on. And I hope you can step out and be inspired and then make a small change in your life, whatever that is. So we'll see you on the next video. Hopefully it's more of a curated video, not a live, but lives are great too. I like lives. So all right, have a good day.
See y'all.